Hello and welcome to Insights for Manufacturing. I'm your host, Jeff Beecham, and in this podcast series, we'll be looking at some of the challenges and opportunities in manufacturing in 2022. Throughout the series, I'm hosting a range of guests from service businesses and support organisations, providing subject matter expertise and guidance on a diverse range of topics affecting UK manufacturing. Today, we're going to be discussing marketing and how it can boost UK manufacturing's image. So I'm pleased to welcome my guest, Rob Dando, Director at Finally Agency. Welcome, Rob, and how are you today?
Well, thanks for having me, Jeff. Yeah, really well, thank you.
Good. So we met on LinkedIn. I've been following Finally for probably about, 18 months since I first had a chat with Steve. And, you've got the engine room and all sorts of, resources and free tips for businesses and individuals all over your content, which is excellent. Before we get into the bulk of the conversation, can you just tell me a bit about yourself and what your role involves at Finally?
Yeah, sure. I started many moons ago. So it all began actually for me when I was 13. Started building websites in my bedroom. And then at sort of 16, I sort of formalised it and created a company, a sole trader, and traded for about a year and a half and while I finished school. And then I left school and I started what back then was like it was an internet cafe, PC repair shop, but kept all of my kind of web development in the background. And then as the trends started changing and mobile phones started to screw me for giving away data and internet cafes weren't going to last forever, I grew the web business. We were very much focused on bespoke software applications, content management systems, etc. And then about 10 years ago, I joined forces with Steve. We created Finally and became kind of a full service marketing agency that we are today. And then about 3 years ago, we decided to sort of become subject matter experts, really. And the reason for that choice was simply manufacturing excited us. It's really diverse, so much. I think, conversations we've had, it's quite clear, and many people just have a perception of engineering manufacturing being a factory with oil and grease and a boiler suit, which is just not true. We get to work with a diverse range of company, LG Electronics to Red Bull to cider manufacturers to machine tools to factories, and so it gives us lots to do. And so for the last 3 years we've been really focusing in that area and created a whole range of content and resources for people to hopefully learn from us and understand how they can use marketing and to help their sales and grow their business, really. And I'm really passionate about helping manufacturers and businesses to understand how to use marketing, how to, particularly now more so digital marketing, how it can be very complementary. A lot of people think of it as a scary thing, or they just see it as a huge cost element, and we need to get the mindset shifting to understand that marketing doesn't have to cost the earth, should be seen as an investment, but fundamentally anyone really can do it, and hopefully with some of the free stuff that we publish, it'll give you at least a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the sort of case studies I get, if you can call it a case study, I know you did some work going back a few months. It's probably an ongoing client of yours, Kingsbury. I think you had Richard Kingsbury on, and you were doing some video about. He was on there talking about the history of the company. And it was fascinating. It was just a different style of promoting a business. I found that really insightful. So, what are the most common challenges that you're finding, Rob, that manufacturing businesses are having with their marketing?
That's a great question. I think there just seems to be a bit of a barrier to people's potentially even understanding of what marketing should be. Really, it needs to be a part of a business that anyone can do. So here, yes, we're a marketing agency. Yes, we do our own marketing, but actually, all of the team are constantly marketing it. That sales should be done by anyone in a business, and that's because you don't have to be selling it could just be a conversation you have in the pub with somebody. Just, they say, oh, what do you do? And, you need to be able to confidently talk about, oh, I work for a company, we manufacture X, Y, and Z, and that helps to, fulfill parts for Boeing or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And that's still helping to sell. That's still marketing. You'll get creating brand awareness, because, many companies that exist throughout the UK, people don't know who they are because they're not talking about it, and the companies don't want to talk about it. So for me, the challenges is really helping people to understand really what marketing is, why it's important, and then that whole breaking down the kind of perception of it's a cost. And yes, of course it costs money, or I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't have a business, we wouldn't have staff, but actually it has to be an investment. And my grandfather, wise old man that he is, who was a multiple engineer staff. Actually, funny story, about an hour ago, the Flying Scotsman came through the station just literally 10 meters away. And my granddad actually worked on that when he was 13. So that brings it all back for me. But he went on to grow through different companies and became a consultant in that sector. And I remember him when I was starting out telling me that a company should spend 5% of their turnover on marketing. And that stuck with me forever, really. And actually, I was talking about this on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, that figure's actually increased now. If you do some general searching, and so it's not just me telling people, but the average now is actually deemed to be nearer 7 to 8, and in America, I think it's higher, 10 to 12%.
Yeah.
And again, that scares people. And whilst I say that, and people say to me, oh, what should we spend? I know that's not possible for everyone, and I'm not saying it should be, but having zero marketing budget should also not be possible. Like, I've had small businesses, I still have a small business, and I practice what I preach. We invest back into our own marketing. I've always done it, because you have to invest in your business to grow your business. And that's just a fact of life.
Yeah. So I suppose it's starting off with that mindset then, really. It's getting people into that, to want to have almost like a marketing culture within the business. And I've found, because I've invested some money in marketing. I'm only a small business in the overall scheme of things, but I found
this is marketing that you're doing now.
Absolutely, and people have this. There was a conversation we had earlier with someone around, you've got sales and you've got marketing, and sometimes they're two silos that don't talk to each other. That should never be the case. But what I've found is, in my own experience, that without marketing, sales and doing the actual selling part becomes so much more difficult. You've got to have the marketing there to soften the ground, to create the awareness, to give you something to then move forward with to the next stage of an awareness or sales process. So for me, you've got to have both, and for me, marketing is crucial. I'd probably go for a 60-40 or maybe even a 70-30 split in favor of marketing. But that's just my opinion. I guess most recruiters would probably be the other way around, 99% of their time on the phone, hounding people and not doing too much marketing. But I think the world's changing a little bit. Yeah. So in terms of the different marketing tools and channels, I do some marketing, but I'm not a marketer myself. What areas of expertise does Finally offer its clients?
So Finally is full service. So, we do cover every channel, and that's both digitally and non-digitally. So, we've done TV campaigns, we've done radio campaigns, out-of-home campaigns. So, we do that. I would say probably in this day and age, we're, about 85% maybe is digital.
Yep.
So, if we break that down, we're talking about social media, we're talking about videos, we're talking about podcasts like this, we're talking about email marketing, which is definitely not died, whatever people are trying to claim. Yep. Now you've got modern stuff that add into that, live chat bots. But at the heart of it all, if you're going to make one investment in this year, I would say make that investment into your website, okay? Because that's the foundations for all of this. You can't attract and make noise on all these channels if you've got nowhere to drive them to without having some form of purpose.
Yep.
Marketing is ultimately to drive leads towards sales. That's why we do it. We're not doing it for fun. We are doing it to get to someone that wants to be talking about our business and hopefully become a customer, make money. That's why we're here. And you need therefore a conversion point, and the best place for that is a website. So I have been having conversations, and they said, well, where should we start? And I would always say, build the foundations, build a really good, well optimized website, because that will be there for years and years to come.
Yeah,
you can constantly improve it, but all of the content you then produce, all of the podcast episodes, all the social posts, that all feeds the website.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you touched on the fact that, email marketing is definitely not dead. I think a lot of people went off email. I never have, incidentally, but I definitely see and hear a lot more people now saying that, if you haven't got an email list, if you're not doing email marketing, you're missing a huge slice of business. Social media is great. You've got to have your website, like you say, direct sales, you've got to have the telesales and all the rest of it. But there's so much, I think you've just got to grease all of the wheels, haven't you? If you're just doing two or three, you've got to look at all. It's a multi-pronged approach, isn't it, really, to maximize?
Yeah, we live in a world with so many touch points, and to do marketing successfully, and it's hard because there are so many, and one person can't do it all, which is why companies like ours do exist. But you can certainly, if you are one or two man, or a small team of 5 or 6, then cover a few bits each and try and do as much as you can, but being efficient. Use the tools that are out there, tools like HubSpot that we advocate all the time. It's a great CRM, it's free. Get that data, start capturing information. The reason email marketing is so valuable is because that's your data. You own that, you've built that, you understand it, you can market to it. If you start running paid advertising campaigns, you're paying to try and find people. And once you get them, you want to keep them warm and send them useful stuff. Don't look, the days of spamming people, sending out rubbish don't work. We're all blind to that fact. But someone would have been in contact with you or shown an interest to you for a reason. And if you can be polite and helpful and just keep in touch with people, they'll respect that. And it might not be now might not be the right time, but 6 months time might be the right time. And a lot of marketing, trade secret is about hitting the right people at the right times. Almost luck. We could say, but that's what campaigns are. But the point being that they'll only be there, they'll only be in your sphere if you've looked after them and treated them with respect, by not sending them out insignificant information, by not sending them irrelevant information. And that's where a really good, well-managed CRM such as HubSpot or Zoho or whatever it is you choose to use, keep it clean, keep it updated, and keep it segmented.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the most important thing for manufacturing businesses to consider when they're, if they're deciding to partner with a marketing company? What should they be thinking about? It must be a bit of a minefield, if you've got a small business that hasn't sort of outsourced marketing before, they're going to have lots and lots of different questions and concerns. How do they go about deciding who to work with? What is there a blueprint or a standard criteria?
I think it's a great question. I think we're always quite honest and transparent. I would say, ask the agency, can they speak to clients, past and present, because to find out that we're not just making stuff up. We're marketers, we should be able to good at spinning a line. So I could say anything I wanted, but if they're not afraid or they offer that, I'd say that's a positive sign. Like case studies, like let's see the results, and ask them questions around potential return on investment, and see if you trust their answer. Obviously, you'd like to hope everybody's truthful, but also generally you're going to be working with these people very, very closely. You're believing that, and if you're appointing an agency or a freelancer to work with you on your marketing or sales or both, they're going to become a crucial part of your business. So the relationship has to be right. You've just got to have a gut feel, really, of I like Rob, or I like Finally, they seem like good people. Again, check out what they do. Like you say, hopefully we're pretty visible as an agency. All of my employees are out there, and you get to see how they are and their own individual personalities through reading their LinkedIn posts, reading their blogs. And so I would just say you've got to have a bit of a gut feel, but then ask to good testimonials, ask to speak to clients, you might not actually do it, but it's a good question. And, you know, if they're very forthcoming, oh yeah, no worries, here's X, Y, and Z, they'd be happy to speak to you.
Yeah.
And it comes back, you think, okay, they're not hiding anything.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you about, I mean, social media, you know, it's huge. It's grown at a staggering pace over the last, 10, 15 years. LinkedIn probably being the standout for business to business. How important is it for businesses to consistently produce content, Rob? Because, you know, if you're short on resources, you know, you're running a busy company, time is a problem. What advice do you have about building a good output of content?
So I think particularly for those time poor individuals, myself being one, is to maybe just find an hour a week, lock yourself away, and then write 3 or 4 posts in one go. And then you can schedule those. And then when your week is drifted away from you, you know that you've got content. And if you can do that, maybe sometimes you'll have a quiet week, you can get a couple of weeks worth of posts in the bank, and then they're scheduled. Obviously, you can leave gaps for particularly topical things, but generally you can have a bit of a strategy around your business. And then, you know, you can jump on our website. I'm sure that we've got guides around talking about this. And yeah, we also have like a weekly LinkedIn planner that we've created that you can grab for free.
Yeah.
But I think just strategize and understand what you're going to do and have that plan, and it'll become far, far easier. Another, you know, what I do is, obviously we all got phones with us. So whenever you're just like having that moment, and that might be in the pub, it might be a conversation you have with someone, just open your notes, jot down your idea while it's fresh in your mind. And then when you get to that hour, you can expand those out. I think the other part of your question, you know, does it pay to be consistent? Yeah, 100%. I think if you can build that up, I noticed myself personally, you know, I used to post probably every day. Then obviously we had some, you know, changes in the business with unfortunately Steve being taken ill, and that changed my role, and I had to kind of reassess everything I was doing. And for a while I didn't really post, and it did have quite a dramatic effect. I noticed it, and probably only been the last month where I've kind of got myself back to a level where I can be posting 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And again, it's noticeable the difference, you know, activity breeds activity. So as hard as it is, I think I found like that 1 hour of concentration can create 4, 6, 7 posts, and then you get into a bit of a flow and you're never really far behind.
Yeah. I was just thinking then, you know, because, you know, an hour a week, it doesn't sound very much. If you're in a small business, I guess you could probably shed the load a little bit in terms of, you know, asking your employees. This is what we were going back to earlier when we were chatting offline about, you know, organizations almost having a marketing culture where everybody should feel part of the marketing team. So, you know, anybody could write a blog, couldn't they? Anybody could write, you know, come up with even an idea for a post, even if they don't write it themselves. You can have a suggestion box, or, you know, people can, you know, just put some stuff together and then give it to the person that normally is responsible for producing the content. At least then there's like a flow of information, and that would help the internal business with employee engagement, and they all feel valued and they're having an input. So would you advocate for organizations sharing that across the wider business?
Without doubt. You know, a couple of ideas around that would be, if you're set up a WhatsApp group, or use a Slack channel or something, whatever your communication is internally. And then when someone posts, you know, post the link in and get everybody to go and like it and comment on it. You know, you often see posts in small businesses where they've got very few likes. I think, hang on, they work for a company with 50 employees. They should at least have, you know, 50 likes. And that goes for us. You know, we've just kind of had to take a look at ourselves and realize that we dropped off doing that. And it kind of makes a difference, because the way LinkedIn's algorithm works is very much about, you know, it only shows your post to a certain percentage of your audience. I'm not going to bore everyone with technicalities, but, you know, there's certain points where you want to prove to the algorithm that this post is being seen and engaged, and try and boost it. So, you know, you'll hear people talking about pods. I'm not an advocate for that, but certainly there'll be a few people, your employees certainly should be part of that, and post on individual pages. The company pages, they don't get the engagement. They're not seen the same. So the way we use our company page is we use that to repost things, so that, yes, it has, you know, different people looking at it, but try and build personal networks, because actually individuals will have different networks, and therefore you're reaching a wider overarching audience. We have right down to, Julie, who works in HR and finance here. She's written blogs, not her forte, but she wanted to be a part of it. She writes the odd LinkedIn post. She's not on LinkedIn all the time, but she will do what she can to help. And that's it. Yeah. It's about breeding that culture where we're all one team here, and I say to my team, you're all partly responsible for marketing and you're all partly responsible for sales.
Great. I love that. It's all, it's all about collaboration in business, isn't it? So for any listeners or viewers of the Insights for Manufacturing podcast who are not familiar with Finally Agency, what's the engine room?
What's the engine room? So I guess it kind of all began as an idea for almost like a weekly newsletter, and it's just grown into a bit of a beast, if I'm honest. So, it now has a podcast, that you've been a guest on. We've done company spotlights. We've actually created a whole area on our own website to showcase other businesses. So talk about, what they're up to. We have a hashtag, which is hashtag Finally Engine Room on LinkedIn, and we will tag any educational or useful post for people so they can filter it out and just get to the crux of the great stuff. Yeah. We have a YouTube channel, again, with loads of free content on. It's kind of like the name and the culmination of all of our educational and I'd like to hope helpful content.
Brilliant. And it's not so much about the services you're providing directly to your clients. It's added value resources, isn't it, for your clients and prospects? And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with Insights for Manufacturing. I don't talk about recruitment. Typically, I might do a couple of episodes, later on in the year about sort of recruitment. But I wanted this to be, an added valuable resource for manufacturing businesses. So, good on you for doing that. Now, I know you've recently been working on a bespoke website for the campaign or petition for a Minister for Manufacturing for SUM, or Support UK Manufacturing, launched by our friend Andrea Wilson. How did that come about, with your involvement in that, Rob? And why did you feel it was so important for you to support this campaign?
I think, I've been a part of the community, quite hands-on for the last couple of years. Obviously, we run each Wednesday, I run the top 10 posts for UK Manufacturing. And, it's something that I'm quite passionate about, really. And I was looking at what's been going on and realised, as I've just said to you, that my belief is the fundamental part of marketing should be a website. Yep. It wasn't a website. And so, that's something that we can certainly help with. And more than happy to do so. So, that is currently underway. We're building a lovely new website, which will sit on HubSpot CRM, so we can start collecting data and use all of the great volunteers that are getting involved, all of our skills together, and have a central location, really.
That's brilliant. And thanks for your support with that. It's been a journey, and I think as we're recording this, Andrea's on holiday for a well-earned break, but the work will continue when she comes back. What is the main thing, Rob, that UK manufacturing businesses can do to improve the image of the sector and encourage more youngsters to choose manufacturing as a career? Because it's got like an outdated stereotype, hasn't it? There's this stigma, and it's almost like a myth about manufacturing. It's dirty, it's greasy, it's horrible. It's almost like manufacturing needs an image makeover. How would you sort of articulate that from your perspective?
I think you're spot on. I mean, it's almost like we want to bring in one of those, like 60-second makeover people and just like kind of scrub it all out and go, you're wrong. And to be honest, like before I got into it, I probably had that perception because that's the stereotype that's out there in the world. But I'll tell you, I've visited some ridiculously high-tech factories. Some of our clients in Kingsbury and Exactaform, and these are multi-million-pound factories with highest technology and robots and automation, and they're unbelievable. And someone with my like little geeky techie brain as well, it's like gold mine. You're like walking in and like, oh look, what's this doing? And so I mean, I think people need to start showing and showcasing this. Particularly social media has to be the main channel. It's the easiest channel. They can get an account quite easily. don't be afraid to show that behind the scenes stuff, you know, just a little clip recorded on your iPhone of, you know, the machines at work, or, you know, people having fun, people laughing and joking together, showing that culture, showing that it's not, you know, some, you know, production line of people sitting there with a hat on, and, you know, that's not what it is. So you know, I feel like, don't be afraid to show what it truly is, you know, and let's start talking. Let's use the platforms such as Support UK Manufacturing. Let's use LinkedIn. Let's use hashtags. I think support each other, and remember that, you know, a collective is better. So yes, some of you may be competitors, but probably if you're really honest about it, you're not that much of a competitor. I mean, I'm an agency. There are 20,000 independent agencies in the UK. You know, I bump into one or two every now and then in pictures, but generally I don't see any of them as competitors, you know. But I mean, I don't know what it's like in depth, but, you know, certainly in the agency world that I'm in, even locally, in like my kind of, if I take a 20-mile radius from my office, there's probably 30 agencies, and we actually all meet up. We do things like digital meetups together, grab pizza, grab beer, talk about what's going on. That's just the community that we've built. We're all friends, actually. We don't see each other as enemies. And the same can be done in manufacturing on a larger scale. Like, let's get together, let's talk, let's build a voice. And hopefully, you know, Andrea, yourself, and all those involved, we can start to get a bit of a movement going. There's great organisations that already exist, Make UK and such others. I think it's just about kind of all trying to come together with one clear vision.
Yeah. Unity, I think, is a great word that sums that up. And Andrea used that a few weeks ago on one of the interviews. So just briefly, have you got 3 top tips for manufacturers when it comes to marketing? If they know they need to do something, it's a bit like Aladdin with the genie of the lamp. They got they can only have 3 chances at this. What would your top 3 tips be for a manufacturing business?
So probably be top number 1, understand who you want to talk to and talk to them clearly. A lot of people just don't do that. I think just understand that it's okay to alienate the market, because you'll accelerate in the smaller area that you understand. You know, you can't be all things to all people. You aren't. So don't try and pretend that. Just really hone in on one key point. So that would be number 1. Number 2 would be get your website in order. You know, and that doesn't have to mean spending hundreds of thousands of pounds at all. It just means go and take a look at it objectively. I play the mum test. Okay, say if I showed this to my mum, could she tell me what they do and use it? And if she can, you've done a great job. If she can't, start again. And probably number 3 would be get on LinkedIn, build that personal profile, get involved, just be a part of the conversation.
Fantastic. That's pretty simple stuff. It's just a case of taking action, isn't it? You know, as you say, get involved, get started. Okay.
We're going to be at numerous exhibitions. So you'll find us at MAC, Advanced Engineering, Subcon, EDS. So hopefully, you know, come over, say hello, come and meet the team. We're going to be running digital hubs, so giving free advice, you know, about how to maximise all the tools. We've got a couple of things up our sleeves, which I won't reveal now, but all, you know, hope trying to bring some of the community together, so let's say, and do some cool things there. And, you know, we just want to continue to grow and support people. So, I'm very, very much looking forward to the rest of this year for certain.
Brilliant. Sounds exciting. I'm intrigued by what these other things are that you've got up your sleeve, and no doubt all will be revealed at an appropriate time. Brilliant. Well, just before we go then, what's the best way for people to get in contact with Finally, if they've got any questions or they need some help?
Sure. So probably the best thing, either find us on LinkedIn. So it's just Finally Agency, or myself, Rob Dando, or jump onto our website, which is just www.finally.agency.
Super. That's brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Rob. So that really wraps up today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed our discussion. Thanks again to Rob Dando. Thank you for listening, and look out for the next episode of Insights for Manufacturing. See you next time. Bye-bye.